For the last Access assignment, we're just going to practice some basic creating a report and doing some grouping so that you can get some practice in, because this skill will be on your test. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a query that we'll use to create our report. And sometimes it's a little bit easier. We could use the report wizard, but creating the query with the fields that we want and in the order where we want, and then we can just use the report tool. So it makes it a little bit easier. Let's see what that looks like. So first we're going to create a query in Query Design. And we're going to add all the tables so that we can create the relationships that we need in order to get the data that we want from our query. So this table is about volunteers and where they volunteer, the type of activities that they volunteer for, and we're going to create a query to get some information. Let's see what it's going to be. We're going to get the activity name from the activity table and the state and city and the last name and first name. And let's run this query and see what we have. So here we have activity names, the states that the activities are in, the city, and the names of the people who are in charge of these activities. So we'll save this query as report query. We're going to use it to create our report. And then we'll close it. And now we will create a report from this query and make it a little bit easier to read. So I'm just going to select the query in my navigation pane over here, up to create, and choose the report tool. And if we scroll down, we can see, right, it's a pretty long report. So first we're going to group the report, and again, here's our grouping tools. If you don't see them down here, then in the Design tab, you will come over to the Grouping and Totals group and make sure that it's turned on. So we'll choose Add a Group, and first we want to group it by activity name. And then we're going to add a second group, and we're going to group them by state. Lastly, we're going to add a sort, and we will sort them by the last name of the volunteers. Then we're going to change the title to Volunteers by Activity and State. And we're going to change the font size and style. And you can choose something that you like. Just make it different than what it is. We're going to delete. Oh, we need to change the color also. Kind of like that color. Okay. We're going to delete this logo over here. I'm just going to click on it once and then use the delete key on my keyboard. We're going to bold all the labels and change the font size to 16. So I'm going to click on one and hold my shift key down to select all the label names, field names. And we're going to bold them and change the font size to 16. We are going to bold the activity names and change that font size to 14. So these are the activity names, and once I click on one, you can see that they're, well, all selected. So we were going to bold these and change the font size to 14. We're going to switch our orientation to landscape. And then we're going to shorten up our page a little bit. I'm going to come on over to Design View. We can see our page. We need to scroll over here to the right. I'm going to grab the edge of it with this cursor here, bring it all the way to just about touching that first name field. And if we scroll back over to the left, you can kind of see what's going on over here. And let's look at our report. So here's our report. Grouped by activity name, again, just makes it a little bit easier to read so that we don't need to see this activity name this many times. And even the same with the states. And we will save our report as volunteers by activity and state. That's it.